I'm Joe Malone, Deputy Editor of International Construction and Construction Europe. I've been talking to Mark Firth, Executive Director of the Components Engineering section at Cummins.
So I work in the components business of Cummins, where we're helping enable the engine technology that we announced on Monday meet Stage 5. The key feature that Cummins has announced for Stage 5 is that we're removing EGR from the engines. One of the keys to that is our single module after-treatment system. That's a new key component relative to our previous technology we used at Tier 4 final. This module is 30% smaller in size and 40% lighter than the previous product. So really it's helping us package our product, which has been really one of the key things our customers have continued to ask for, is how do we reduce the size of the package to meet emissions. So the key challenge from the customer base really has been around how we continue to improve reliability, which of course is uptime, fluid economy, which is both fuel and urea consumption, and the total cost of ownership, which really links all these things together. So with the removal of EGR, we've introduced simpler turbocharging, which I'll talk about a little bit later. The after-treatment module we've talked to, and we have other components such as the nano-net filter technology that's allowing us really to help keep the engines more reliable as we move forward. The new technology itself, basically the challenge is around integrating the system to demonstrate reliability during the development process that we're now in for the products that we'll be launching in 2019. So really we have to have stable component technologies, and we've been building on these technologies now for various decades, depending on the component. And it's that together, Joe, that gives us the real reliability we're looking for, as well as demonstrating the fluid economy of the system. So you asked about other technologies we're introducing. One of these is a fully electronic wastegated turbocharger. Where this differs from pneumatic turbocharging is this allows the engine ECM and software to modulate the wastegate as we choose to do so, rather than just via standard boost pressure feedback. The key here is torque curve shaping again, and also the ability to restrict the back pressure on the engine so we can create more heat for the after-treatment system, which, back to my earlier point on TCO, reduces fluid economy, because the more heat you're putting into the after-treatment system, the less urea you're going to need at certain operating points. The other feature, just to show you basically, is I showed you the single module earlier, is for larger installations which need flexibility, where a customer has multiple chassis or vehicles he's using. We have a lot of installation flexibility with this module. It's called the Flex module, and we'll give you some literature on that later. And this just is another feature as well of the flexibility we're building for our customers at Stage 5, which is give me one solution, allow me to adapt it to my applications, but please give me reliability and fluid economy.
I also talked to Bryden Clulow, Director of Off-Highway Sales, about the new Stage 5 ready engines.
I'm Bryden Clulow. I'm the Sales Director for Cummins in Europe for the Off-Highway business. I'd like to talk you through our engines. The thing I can tell you about is the same for all of the engine range, for our mid-range. So I'll just stick with this engine because it's the same concept that we're using throughout. The most important thing I'd like to make clear is that it's simple. We've taken off EGR, we've got a single canister for the after-treatment, and that drives so many benefits for our customers. More flexibility on location of turbochargers, less cooling required, a very simple engine layout. The turbocharger was variable geometry. It's now a wastegate turbocharger. So again, simple. But that allows us to give the engine its free rein. We can do everything we need with the engine because the after-treatment does everything it needs to do to clean up the exhaust. So we can get, I think it's 10% increased power and 30% increased torque. And the screen at the back of our stand gives the curves to demonstrate what we've been able to achieve. So really, we're starting at the 3.8. We've got the 4.5, the 6.7, and the 9 litre all have the same concept. All are taking EGR off, which is the real big benefit for us. Because if you think about the way the emissions regulations are moving The problem that we all face as an industry is the sulfur in the fuel. If you don't have EGR, you've got more capability to deal with that problem. So we can allow 500 ppm sulfur without EGR, which allows this engine to be used globally. The difference is the after treatment. How much after treatment we're going to put onto the engine really determines, from a legislative point of view, but also from a sulfur tolerance point of view. So it gives us that flexibility. What else can we talk about? One of the problems we have is it's such a simple engine, there isn't a lot to say because we're not adding all the complexity. I don't have to talk about all the new things we're putting on. The real benefit that we're offering is that there's less there. So there's less there, but we can give you more power, more torque, more flexibility on installations, and they're all going to be made in Europe. This is currently manufactured in China. This will be made in Darlington for stage 5, along with all these other 4 engines. Yep. If I talk for a minute, at the back of our stand there are the heavy-duty engines. They're already compliant with stage 5 because they already have a DPF. So existing installations just needs a new certificate. So when the legislation is finally enacted next year, we'll be able to issue the certificates at that time. So for those installations, no more work needs to be done.